speakeasy vibe is a vibe. Yeah.
Dude, I was going to join it. You know, because it was cheap to join it. I got approved for the membership and I got it. And then I went there with a couple friends. What it made me realize, do I really need a private club membership that I feel like I'm going to be obligated to use? And the only thing really to do there is drink. And the place is 35 minutes from my house. I just decided that's probably a bad plan for me.
All right, part 2 with John Gafford. It's been a little over a year now. Thanks for coming back on, man.
Been a minute, man. Been a minute.
Yeah, you started your own show now?
Yeah, well, my show's been going for like 3 years. Consistently now in the top 15 for entrepreneurship. I think it was number 9 yesterday. Yeah, we're doing good, man. It's averaging right around 300,000 downloads a month, which I'm very proud of. And yeah, we're doing great, man.
That's incredible.
Escaping the Drift.
Yeah.
Check it out.
What's your goal with that show?
So, you know, that show is very much like, I have a book coming out very soon.
Yeah.
It's actually, I talked to the publisher this morning. Very soon my book will come out with the same name, Escaping the Drift. And the whole idea with that is it's kind of like a user's manual to my 26-year-old self. So many people are just kind of drifting along with the currents of life. And what I try to do is provide practical advice and bring high-level achievers on that drop their secrets about how to kind of get out of that just floating along with the currents of life and start achieving at a different level.
Yeah. So at 26, you were just kind of figuring it out.
No, man, I mean, dude, I did a lot of really cool stuff, right? I had a lot of super cool jobs as a kid. I mean, I was running nightclubs. I mean, in my early 20s, I was a top-level brass for Hooters of America, restaurant chain. I owned my first, bar when I was 20.
Damn.
But, I wasn't achieving any real success, right? Like, I had a lot of cool jobs that I had, but, I wouldn't say I was building any wealth.
Right. You were working for someone else.
Dude, I was just drifting along with the currents of wherever life was taking me, man. That's what was happening.
Hooters fell off, man.
Yeah, dude, I have not been in a Hooters restaurant in... it's one of those things when you eat so much of something for 6 years, which I did. Yeah. Like I never want to eat it again, ever.
That's how I feel with Chipotle.
But dude, I'll tell you this though. Back in the day, man, working at Hooters, it was like a fraternity house.
Yeah.
It was the stuff that we did back in what would have been now the late 90s in those restaurants. I mean, it was sheer insanity compared to what you could get away with in any workplace.
Oh, I bet. And now all those girls are just making more on OnlyFans. So
yeah, dude, I cannot imagine how hard it would be to staff one of those restaurants or staff a place that is dependent on female sexuality when those girls can't jump on OnlyFans and do what they want to do.
Yeah, I wonder how the clubs got affected actually.
I mean, well, Vegas, I don't think so much because I mean, you look at those girls in Vegas that are making $200,000 a year to hold a sparkler up at a sign or carry a bottle to a table. It's insane.
Yeah.
And for those of you who don't live in Vegas that hear that, yeah, that's real.
That's common.
That's common. But yeah, I think when they're making that kind of money in the right clubs, I don't think it's affected them.
Yeah. Do you go out to any clubs?
As rarely as I possibly can anymore, man. I think these days I like to be in places, always live music. Well, that's always the thing I'll always do.
You love music.
The club stuff, dude, I don't, maybe it's the old man in me now. If I can't hear, I'm just like, dude, I'm miserable. Yeah. I'm like, bro, I just want to talk to people when I go out.
Yeah. Have you always been big on music?
Always. Back in the day, the nightclub that I had in Atlanta, Cobalt Lounge, was Esquire magazine named it the #1 nightclub on the East Coast of the United States. And that was in 2000. We had all the Super Bowl parties there, which were awesome. So yeah, but I mean, I came up in that era of when house music and techno and all that stuff was really having its second wind, if you will, through that time of the late 90s, early 2000s. And then house music really took over through that early part of the 2000s. But as far as like bands and stuff, I've been playing drums since I was 6.
Wow.
And one of the joys of my life has, for whatever reason, one of the bars I ran in Atlanta was a live music venue. So I got to meet a lot of really cool people there that wound up becoming very, very famous. And, I will say one of the greatest joys of my life is being able to be with the boys in the band. When you can go to a show and you have that all access and you're hanging out in the green room behind it, and there's just nothing better.
The camaraderie, right?
Yeah, dude, it's the closest thing you can be to, like, I don't know, it's pretty special.
Yeah. No, that speakeasy vibe is a vibe.
Yeah.
I like those. I went to the one in Fontainebleau. Have you been to that one?
Yeah.
Pony Room.
Are you talking about Poodle Room up top?
Poodle Room, yeah.
Dude, I was going to join it. Because it was cheap to join. It was like $8,000 for the membership, and then it was not much monthly. And I got approved for the membership, and I got it, and then I went there with a couple friends, and we had like 5 old fashions, and then 2 of my guys smoked a cigar, and the bill came out, and the bill was egregious, which I kind of knew it would be. But what it made me realize was do I really need a private club membership that I feel like I'm going to be obligated to use? And the only thing really to do there is drink, and the place is 35 minutes from my house. I just decided that's probably a bad plan for me. So
I didn't join either. I went, water was $10, and then I loved the live cello music, but other than that, yeah.
Great view, unbelievable view. Did you see you saw the sushi restaurant?
Yeah, that's like $500, right?
Yeah, it's crazy. And I mean, it'd be a cool place to do private events, but again, it's really far from where I live.
Yeah. I would definitely have an event there.
Yeah, I love when people, think because you live in Vegas that you're on the Strip every night, and it's like, dude, it's getting further every single day. I mean, with traffic, it is literally getting further.
There's actually traffic now in Vegas.
Bro, I was telling you earlier when I came in, to get from the Wynn to your event at Mandalay on Friday, it took us 54 minutes on the Strip. It's crazy. And I was, the Uber driver was not doing what I was telling her to do. Still, there would have been a faster way to get there. But yeah, it's disastrous.
Yeah. No, I remember when I moved here 4 years ago, and I don't remember any traffic that year.
Yeah, I can get, it's funny. I used to, we have offices on this side of town and on the other side of town. And my partner and I, we always meet at the Wynn. Yeah. Because neither one of us wants to make the trip to his office. We're just like,
yeah, because Summerlin's starting to get pretty bad.
It is. I mean, we were over there last week, and I went to watch football with some friends in the Ridges, and yeah, man, you don't realize how busy it is getting over there as well.
Yeah, I'm excited about Vegas though. There's a lot of good things coming.
There's a lot, man. People ask me all the time about Vegas, and especially doing what we do with the real estate market and talking about the future of the real estate market in Vegas, and nationally, you're seeing a price pullback. You're seeing prices drop, and there's going to be probably a correction in a lot of areas, but I just don't really see that for Vegas, because if you look at the growth that we've had in every direction over the last 7 years, name one other city you can even think of that's picked up every major sports franchise in an 8-year window. We're going to have basketball probably announced within the year.
Yeah.
And then we'll have every major franchise playing here within a 10-year period. Mm-hmm. That doesn't happen. To go from 0 to every single team, like that just does not happen. And you've seen with that this massive shift in migration to Vegas, because slowly but surely we're becoming less and less dependent on gaming as our primary revenue driver. I mean, it will always be a huge revenue driver here. But, when I first moved here, that was it. I mean, it was gaming was the driver of everything. And now you're starting to see, with a lot of tech moving in and different things that are happening around the valley, we're becoming less and less dependent on what happens on the Strip.
Yeah, you're seeing Hollywood coming in too.
That's going to be huge. Those studios, they've announced it. It's there. Did you know that the tax credits that they asked for are greater than what the Raiders asked for, what the A's asked for?
No way. Well, they'll probably produce more money, right?
Dude, I don't know though, but how could it?
Hollywood?
I mean, you're not selling tickets to shoot movies. You're shooting them with localized people.
Right.
They're saving monies because the unions won't necessarily be here effectively. I'm sure they will pretty quickly. But the cost of doing business here will be much different. Which, again, I think why that affects, you look at something like that, how does that affect the real estate industry? And I've had this conversation. A year ago, I was talking to some friend. I was talking to Justin Colby, and he's like, what should we buy? And I said, you should buy $1.5 to $2.5 million midterm rentals is what you should buy, and get as many of them as you can. And he's like, why? I'm like, because dude, if Will Ferrell comes here to shoot a movie for 4 months, he doesn't want to stay at the Wynn. They're going to want a place that they can stay that feels like they're living here.
Right.
So if you can get those midterm rentals for people that are coming in to work on the movies, you'll be able to bang on them.
Smart.
They're going to do very, very well. But stuff like that is what, obviously now you got that segment being gobbled up, and it just, all these little things trickle down into our local economy.
Yeah. Dude, there's so much taking off. Comedians.
Yeah.
Theo Vaughn, Andrew Schultz had a show the night of my event. Concerts are blowing up here.
There is not, people talk about living other places, and they say, New York, the city that never sleeps. Dude, if you live in Las Vegas, there is literally something you can do every single night of the week. It's funny. Case in point, randomly, we were at dinner on Sunday night, and my wife was talking about comedians and was talking about how my son, who is 16, would love Carrot Top, which is ridiculous. It's a ridiculous show. It's not highbrow comedy. It's just nonsense, but it is pretty funny. And literally, I made one call, and we're going to take my son to see Carrot Top tonight, because every night of the week.
Tonight?
Yeah, tonight, because it's just I thought of it 2 days ago, and then tonight we're going, and there's something every night. Which the only thing that makes it hard is if you have season tickets to all this stuff, like especially sports.
Which you do.
It's a lot. It's a lot, man. Hockey's a lot. Football's a lot. There's a lot.
You might be one of the biggest Golden Knights fans in the world.
Dude, I love it, man. We sit right behind the penalty boxes, which is great. We go to almost every single game.
I will say the one game I went to was good networking.
Yeah, dude, that section where I sit in those club seats is awesome.
Yeah, I met Sean Whalen was there. There's a couple, I think Grant Cardone might have been there.
Yeah. Dude, you see so many people in that club right there. It's crazy. Like the football games are too big, right? There's too many places for people to disseminate to. But in the Knights games, it's really kind of localized.
Yeah, it's intimate.
Yeah, it's really localized to a couple spots.
Yeah, because when you go to the bar every period at the end, meet some people.
Yeah, you see everybody. It's great.
Yeah,
great networking.
Hands. Yeah, shout out to the Knights. Are they good this year? I haven't been keeping up.
They're going to be they haven't started playing this year, but they're probably going to be dreadful. Traded away pretty much the heart and soul of our team got traded away. So we'll see, man. Jonathan Marchessault got traded away, but we'll see. Okay. We'll see what happens.
He took the bag?
Nah, dude, I think they just didn't want to pay him. I think they thought he was getting too old and didn't want to pay him anymore.
Damn.
So off he went.
Okay.
I don't know, man. Who knows?
Who knows? Have you had any of those guys on your pod and players?
No. You know what? Honestly, I've never tried.
That's surprising.
Yeah, it's one of those things where I have met a bunch of those guys. They all buy cars from Nick Dosa.
Yeah.
Who owns Vegas Auto Gallery. So I've met a couple of them. Obviously they were hanging around there a lot when I was spending a lot of time over there at Nick's place. I would meet a lot of those guys. But yeah, I've never even asked any of them. Again, with my show, we really lean towards, heavy entrepreneur stuff, really business building stuff is what we try to do. I've had some athletes through. I mean, we had Aljamain Sterling, who Aljo's great. Awesome. And that was really just about his story of overcoming and persistence, which is great because to do what he does in the UFC, you've got to have that mindset.
Absolutely.
That was a mindset talk all day.
Oh, yeah. I was looking at your top episodes. Ryan Serhant was up there.
Serhant was great. Obviously what we do is very similar. So we had a lot of stuff to talk about. It was funny. I accused him of ruining real estate, which was funny.
Social media?
No, not so much him. It was more $1 million listing, the way that they get on the phone and argue over deals and transactions on the phone when that's not at all really how this works. Because you've got, everything's got to be on paper and go back and forth contracts. But I asked him about that. And he was essentially like, no, man, in Manhattan, that's really how this is. I mean, it's really how it gets done. There's no question. So
handshake deals out there, right?
Well, no, it's just they're able to massage and manufacture things on verbal offers because the contracts go to attorneys to be drafted.
Right.
So they have to kind of massage out the terms. That's how it is. I mean, New York's crazy for real estate. There's no MLS in New York.
Really?
A lot of people don't know. There's no MLS.
How do you find a house?
That's why they go do all these open houses and go to all this stuff and do all these things because they have to kind of know this inventory. There's so much that's off market. It's crazy.
Holy crap. I wonder why they don't have one.
It's just how it's always been. And it's wild. There's so much off market stuff and so much new. You've got to be in the know. So it's a much more, we're blessed in these markets because we have the MLS and we can just kind of, what are you looking for and go find it. Whereas those guys, you're really paid for what you know out there. So mad respect to Ryan and what he does.
It's based off connections.
Mad respect, dude.
Yeah, mad respect. Shout out to Ryan. Did you watch his new show?
Have not watched his new show, man. Have not done that. I don't watch a lot of TV.
I don't.
It's not something I do. It's the only time I watch TV is if I'm on the treadmill. That's it. And I'll binge watch one thing. Yeah. Like I'll just start on something and binge watch it, and then when it's done, I'll start something else.
100%.
So I'm literally watching one thing at one time.
Yeah. No, these days in the car, I'm just listening to pods.
Yeah, man. It's one of those things where, and shout out to you for doing that because, when I was your age and young, you think you have all the time in the world and you think time is this infinite resource that goes on forever. And then when you get a little older, you start to realize or more or less more when you start watching your kids grow up and the speed at which your kids grow up is what's kind of crazy. You start to realize how finite that time is and you start to get real selective with how you spend your time.
I bet.
And what you do. And I'm very particular about, I say no to way more things than I say yes. No offense, but if you see me at one of your events, you're welcome, brother.
No,
I come to almost all of them. I do because I find value in what you do. But yeah, I say no to a lot of people and ask me to a lot of things.
No, I appreciate that for real because I know you're one of the top guys at my events, obviously. So the fact that you're showing up it means a lot.
I show up for you, my man. I always will.
Appreciate it, dude. Did you have like a quarter life or midlife crisis where you start realizing this?
No, dude. I don't think think so because one of the things about me is I've always done what I want to do. I have a very understanding wife that understands that if I'm going to do something, it's just what's going to happen. And, sometimes, well, I'd say more times than not, that works out. Sometimes that results in 7-figure losses, but it's always kind of what I want to do at the time of the direction I want to go. And she trusts me to do that stuff. Yeah. But I think, again, I think the thing that hit me the most that I heard somebody say was, you get 18 summers with your kids. And I think I saw Jesse Itzler say that. And, when I saw that, it really hit me. I was like, man, this is going fast. And my son, who's 16, is a junior in high school. I got this summer, next summer, and he's gone.
Wow.
He's off to college. When you have kids, 95% of the time that you spend with them in their entire life is before the age of 18.
Wow. So
from now until the day I die, it's only 5% of time left. And that makes me very hyper aware of what I'm doing and where I spend my time.
That's deep, man, because a lot of parents are just grinding while they have kids.
It's time you can't get back. And I think that one of the advantages that I had of having kids later in life, instead of, there's a give and take, right? I have friends that had kids when they were like 22 years old. Yeah. And now those kids are adults and they're great adults. And those people are the same age as I am. And they have 27, 26, 28-year-old kids. And they're like hanging out together like friends. Right. So that would be awesome. Right. That would be awesome to have your kids like adults that you can hang out with while you're still young enough to like hang out with them like that. But on the flip side of that coin, I think my kids have kept me young at heart for a lot longer than you would. I mean, we didn't have kids till I was 33. And by doing that, it is definitely without a shadow of a doubt kept me young.
Yeah.
When you show up at the school and you're by far the oldest dad, you're like, okay, cool. Yeah. And not that old, bro. I'm not that old, right? But when you're in there and, this dad is 22 and you're 36, it's a little bit of a gap to deal with. But I like that. I like that they've kept me young and the fact that I was more financially stable with them when they were born made me able to choose my, I've never worked for somebody else.
Wow.
I haven't worked for another human being as far as punching a clock since I was 28 years old. I think was probably the last time that happened. 29 years old, maybe.
Hooters.
No. Just I had other jobs that I did and things that I did. But the fact that I've always worked for myself in those times has given me that freedom to be able to spend as much time as I wanted with them.
I see both sides of it because I have friends now that are living paycheck to paycheck, and dude, it's just stressful, man, with kids.
I can't imagine. It's like I think about it all the time, and I wonder. I mean, my wife's awesome, and we have a great relationship, but I wonder how much different that would be if we had to sit down and have conversations like, well, we can't pay this, we got to put this off, and blah blah blah, and that undue stress on a relationship. I would think that stress of money probably undoes way more relationships than you would think.
Right. That's why.
That's the number one count.
No, I'm the same way. That's why I'm building a safety net before I have kids because you never know, man.
Yeah. No, for sure. You don't. And then like, you start having some weird health stuff happen and all of a sudden you're like, are they set up for forever? And then you start kind of grinding again and scrambling for that. So you're never as prepared as you think. And life has levels. I mean, there are people out there in the world that, could walk in and look at, and this is not a flex. It's not that much money. Don't freak out. But I'm saying they could walk in and look at my active checking account and they would be like, I could retire on that. Right.
Yeah.
Because they just could live well within their means. It is what it is. And then there's people that, then there's levels to this. So the more you get, the more you have to make. And everybody has a number of what they have to retire. Like, okay, I can plan this out and then I can do that.
Yeah.
I'll get there at 50. I'll get there by 55. I'm not working anymore after 55.
Well, you got to be careful with retirement because they're doing new studies on brain health.
I know. Well, okay, here's the thing. Okay, let's talk about that. So when I say retire, I don't mean I'm going to sit around and play golf every day. Right. That's not what I mean. I mean that even in this business, right? We have 600 agents that work here, and between this and then the mortgage company and then the title company, everything else that we own, I feel the need to have to be here every day. Not that I have to do anything other than direct traffic a little bit, but I feel like if I'm not here, I'm setting the wrong example of leadership for the level of effort that you need to put out to do what needs to be done.
Wow.
And I feel like, especially with our agents who come in and, they cycle in and cycle out, right? There might be a month where I don't see one of our people because they're just not coming in the office or working from home. But I also feel like this responsibility that when people walk in, they need to see me. Like I need to be here on that one day a month that they might walk in. I need to be here.
Yeah.
And so my definition of retiring and retirement is not ceasing to work projects. It's not ceasing to chase your passion. It's ceasing to have the need to feel like you have to be anywhere at any given time.
Interesting.
That's what I want to get away from. That's what I want to leave.
Okay. So you would just be more like behind the scenes.
Yeah, dude. I mean, look, at that point, I sit on the board for a couple of different things and, a couple of paid boardships. I was talking to my buddy Joshua this weekend, and it's kind of the same plan. Just a couple of paid board seats, advisory seats, no equity, no fiduciary, just straight up easy peasy.
Yeah.
And give me something to think about and something to do and something to mold and help that next generation up as we go along. I plan on being fully involved in that stuff. But again, it's that I need to be somewhere on Monday at 9 a.m. That's what I got to get away from.
Yeah.
That's the thing. And we have, and I think we're going to get there.
You're there already.
You
just,
yes and no.
style.
Yes and no. Yes and no.
Yeah, I feel that. Did you pick that up from Trump, that leadership style?
No. Honestly, I picked that up, if I had to say anything, probably from Kent Clothier, who's I'll see him tomorrow. Kent's a good friend, and Kent's whole philosophy of time is now, and going from hustler to CEO. And, one of the most profound things I ever heard anybody say was, he said, how many, he's talking, it wasn't even an event. Where was he speaking? I don't remember what it was, but he was like, how many people here own a business? A bunch of hands went up. He's like, okay, cool. What would happen if you left for 90 days? Didn't call in, didn't do anything, left for 90 days, didn't show up. What would happen? Would you come back to a business? And people were like, well, no, she'll be, stuff will be hitting the walls. Yeah. He's like, well, then you don't have a business, you have a job. A business is something you can leave and still just prints money for you. And that's how you make that jump from that hustler mentality to the CEO mentality, which so many people fail to do. And, I don't have to work. Like I have great people that can handle every single task on a daily basis that I can do other than the vision of the direction of the companies. That's the one thing that is dependent on me right now. And as we develop within our companies, that next generation of leaders, part of that development of them is teaching them to have that same level of vision to see what's coming down, see what's coming in the direction the company needs to go.
Right. I love that. You're going to Kent's Mastermind tomorrow, first time in Boston.
Yeah, never been to Boston, man. Never been there. Shockingly enough, I've literally been all over the globe, and I've never been to Boston. It occurred to me when I saw that. I was like, I've never been here. How's that possible?
That is wild. Will you be trying a lobster roll?
I'm sure I will be trying a lobster roll. I think, how do you go and not eat a lobster roll?
That's what they're known for, man.
Yeah, dude, you got to do it.
I just had a viral clip for, I asked this guest, where do you rank Vegas in terms of food?
Yeah.
In America. He said number one.
It is number one for one simple reason.
You think it's number one?
For one simple reason. Every single great restaurant around the country, their second location is here. I mean, my favorite restaurant in Vegas, my favorite restaurant is Bavette's.
Solid steakhouse.
Which is a Chicago steakhouse with their second location here.
Oh, I didn't know they were Chicago. Okay.
Yeah, it's from Chicago. It's absolutely just
it's the best bone marrow in Vegas.
It's the best, and it's just a carbon copy of the restaurant there. You look at the other restaurants. I forget Joe's Stone Crab. Sorry, not Joe's Crab. Joe's Stone Crab from Miami. I mean, every great restaurant now. I mean, I love Komodo at Fountain Blue. Yeah. I think it's great. These are all restaurants from other places. So if there is something that is really wonderful in an area, it gets recreated here. The only thing I will say, the exception to that is I don't think there's a great New Orleans restaurant in Vegas.
I haven't seen any.
I don't think there is at all. I think I think there's no great New Orleans restaurant. Like I think when I first moved here 20 years ago, I want to say that at Commander's Palace in the casino at Orleans, I want to say that's true. But I don't know that that's true. But no great New Orleans restaurant has ever tried it out here, which is shocking to me.
What do you think about Hot and Juicy?
I think Hot and Juicy's good, but I don't think New Orleans when I think that. I think Asia. Is what I think.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's what I think.
I thought that was like Southern, like.
No, I mean the way they kind of do it, but it's not the same. It's just not the same.
Do you still go to New Orleans every year?
I'm there so many times a year. It's crazy. We're there. We'll be gearing up, obviously, with Mardi Gras coming up in the spring. We'll be going again this year.
It's on my bucket list. I've never been.
Dude, best time ever. But if you ever want to go, let me know. I'll definitely take care of you when you go.
Okay. When are you
Best
going?
time ever. I think this year it's in March. It changes.
Okay. So next year then, right?
Yeah, I want to say, but to give you a little taste though, because I have like an epic Mardi Gras party at my house every year.
I'm going this time.
Yes, we fly food in from New Orleans. It is an epic event.
I'm definitely going.
Always welcome.
Couldn't make the last one. I was actually really bummed.
Dude, it's a great party. It's the only. I throw literally one party at my house a year, and that's the party. That's all we throw.
I love that, man.
And it's an epic party.
Let's go. What's next for you, my man?
So yeah, like I said, the book is coming out. Publisher this morning had some notes on against the final manuscript, so that'll be done. And as soon as that finishes, it's probably in the next 6 months. Actually, no, I'm going to say it's in the next 6 months. I've been saying probably 6 months, but after the conversation today, it'll be within the next 6 months. It should hit. Yeah, excited about that. What's next with this is we just continue to grow the companies that we have. Obviously, being fully vertically integrated, we continue to grab market share in Vegas. Happy to say now that 1 out of every 17 homes sold in the Valley is sold by us.
Wow.
Which I like that. That's a great number. and we continue to do that with the same agent count. So we continue to gain great agents as others retire and step out of the business. We gain better and better agents with we have the highest average price point of any large brokerage in Las Vegas because we gear towards luxury, which is awesome. And yeah, I mean, just keep doing what we do.
Love it, man. We'll link your stuff below. Check out the pod as well, guys. Escaping the Drift, right?
Escaping the Drift, man.
We'll link that below.
Anywhere you can hear podcasts.
Boom. Thanks for coming on, man.
All right, brother.
Thanks for watching, guys. See you next time. Peace.